Hey everyone, we're going to have a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days in today's video. Going to take us towards the latter stages of September. We've got some very warm temperatures coming up this week. We may see things cooling off a bit through the course of next week, but certainly some very warm temperatures coming up through this week. We're also going to have a look at the end of the video at the Beijing Climate Centre. We've had an update from Beijing for the coming winter. You remember we looked at this last month and it was very interesting. It showed a lot of northern blocking. We'll see what it's showing for the winter on this month's update. Now, before I get on with that, just want to mention the ads. Says video ads on my pages at GazWeatherViz.com. You hit play on the video ad, you'll be supporting GazWeatherViz.com. Thanks so much for doing that. The video ad essentially pays me to sit here and talk to you via website. So if you could get involved, hit play, see what the video ad is about. You'll be helping to support GazWeatherViz. Thanks so much for doing that. So we're halfway through September. Let's start off with the Central England temperature from Hadley. See where we're currently standing. We're currently provisionally at 15.1, which is an anomaly of 0.9, only 1 degree above average. You would perhaps expect it to be a little bit warmer than that, but we've been getting some fairly cool nights. Not desperately cold in the central temperature zone, but fairly cool nights, which has sort of been offsetting quite warm, still days. So overall, we're running around a degree or so above average. That will probably be corrected downwards a little bit, actually. So perhaps around half a degree, just over half a degree above average. Not a huge anomaly so far, but I think it will get a bit of a push through the course of this week, because as I said at the beginning of the video, we are in some very warm temperatures. Now, we're a long way short of the all-time September record, and I don't think we'll get anywhere near that. The all-time September Central England temperature record is in 2006, this year just here, which came in with an incredible Central England temperature of 16.8, an amazingly warm month. That was, I'm sure you remember, and it came just after the hottest July on record as well, at 19.7. So that was a remarkable year, 2006, and I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that sort of September temperature this year. However, we're probably going to have the warmest September since 2006, because actually we've had relatively cool Septembers in the intervening period. 2007 comes out at 13.8, 2008 comes out at 0.5, a little bit warmer in 2009, 14.2, but nothing to write home about, 13.8 in 2010. Warmest of all the years since 2006 is at 2011 at 15.1. That was a proper warm September. And then, of course, the last couple, 2012 and 2013, coming out at 13.0 and 13.7. So, to be honest, since 2006, with the exception of 2011, we've not really had excuse me, a very warm September. So, probably about due for one. And I think we are almost certainly going to come out with the warmest September since 2006, but we won't, I have to emphasise, beat 2006. Here are the temperatures coming up over the next few days. This is for Wednesday, maximum temperatures, and we see about in the south of the country could be up to 24, 25 degrees perhaps on Wednesday afternoon. Nothing to write home about further north, just into the just into the mid to upper teens up there, but it's really down in the south where the warmth is going to be through Wednesday, and then that spreads north into Thursday. We could be seeing temperatures up to 25 or 26 degrees in the south on Thursday afternoon. That's around the upper 70s, 79 Fahrenheit. That goes on into Saturday as well, 24, 25, maybe 26 degrees again, on Friday, and there is the risk of some thundery showers breaking out with that down in the south as well. And it's still clinging on, that warmth is going to Saturday. Again, temperatures in the south could be up to 25, maybe 26 degrees. So we're just hovering around that 79 almost, but not quite reaching 80 Fahrenheit mark. And then as we go through into Sunday, things should start to cool down a little bit. Can't maintain that sort of heat indefinitely. So as we get through to Sunday, we should start seeing temperatures slipping back. But they're still going to be pretty warm, to be honest. Still well above the mid-September average. Here's the GFS temperature ensembles with the precipitation as well. This is the warmth, extent of the warmth coming up over the next few days, being signalled just here. The red line is the 30-year average. We're going way above that through the course of this week, so it is going to be very warm this this week. And as we get through into weekend, through into next week, you're going to see the temperatures gradually sliding down. It's not going to be a quick process, but day by day, we'll probably knock a couple of degrees off the temperature. So by the time we get through to, say, around the end of next week, this is the 25th or 26th, just here, we're probably going back towards around the 30-year average. Although there's a lot of scatter there. Some of the members of the ensemble do keep it quite warm, but some actually go quite cool in the latter stages of the ensemble, which takes us more or less to the end of September. So perhaps can't have be too confident about where things go in the final sort of week to 5 days of September. A lot of scatter within the ensemble. Also some rainfall spikes coming back as well, really starting over the weekend around the 19th, 20th, could bring some precipitation through, and then we keep fairly regular precipitation spikes going through to the end of the ensemble. So I think we will have more in the way of unsettled conditions breaking out over the weekend into next week as those temperatures begin their gradual slide downwards. Here's the GFS generic chart for a week's time, maybe the 22nd of September, and we've still got the high pressure really over Scandinavia. It's still dominating. It's pretty warm. The air's still coming up from a southerly type direction. With that, this little area of low pressure over northern France could be producing still some thundery showers through the channel on the south coast. I think temperatures will slide a little bit over the weekend into the start of next week compared to where they'll be at the end of this week. Nevertheless, still pretty warm, I think, even starting next week. As we go through next week, the latest one of GFS wants to bring this low pressure in off the Atlantic. That doesn't look particularly dramatic, but there's a very active cold front, I think, moving in with that, bring heavy rain, and then of course behind it turns much cooler. If you follow the isobares back, they're going off towards the southern coast of Greenland. That would really plunge your temperatures down, probably only back to around the 30-year average, or maybe a little bit below, but it would certainly be a dramatic change compared to what we've been used to through most of September. So around the 25th of September, watch out for temperatures going quite a bit cooler. Here's the ECMWF for the start of next week, and again we've got this ridge through the country, so it's pretty warm, main dry. Could be some showers in the east with this little trough in the North Sea, but overall that's still pretty warm and dry, I think, as we're starting next week. Now the ECMWF wants to keep that high pressure ridging in off the Atlantic through much of next week actually, but the air mass is changing with that. It's turning a lot cooler, so have a look at the upper air temperatures. We see that by day 10 on this chart, which is taking us to around Thursday, 25th of September. We find those temperatures are a lot cooler. The upper air temperatures are a lot cooler. So I think the idea really is that we're going to keep it pretty warm through into the weekend. Turns very warm later on this week. Keep it pretty warm for into next weekend, but gradually cool it down. And then through the course of next week, I would suspect the temperatures do drop down day by day. So by the time we get through towards the latter stages of next week, we're probably back down towards average. And that's the reason, of course, that we're not going to beat the central England temperature from 2006. But overall, a lot of dry weather coming up. No real sign of a dramatic breakdown until maybe around day 10, when things could get more interesting. Now, I promised you at the start of the video that we were going to have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre for the winter. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart that it produced last month. This was for the winter. I'm sure you remember it. Very dramatic looking chart. We've got this deep trough of low pressure across much of Western Europe. Loads and loads of blocking up over Greenland, Northern Block. That's a very cold, or it was a very cold chart, with a lot of cold air coming out of the Arctic into that trough via all this blocking up over Greenland. We said if that came off, it would be a pretty cold winter. Well, the latest update from the Beijing Climate Centre is out now, and it's toned down that northern blocking over Greenland quite a lot, so it's not anywhere near as dramatic as that chart. We've got the high pressure just reaching up towards south of Greenland. It's more of a mid-Atlantic ridge, to be honest, around Newfoundland, stretching out into mid-Atlantic. We've still got a trough of low pressure over the country, so it's still relatively cool with that. But it's, as I'm sure you can clearly see, the extent of the blocking up over Greenland in this area just here is hugely less compared to the first chart. So whilst it is probably still a cooler than average scenario for the winter on that 500 millibar height anomaly chart, it isn't anywhere near as potentially cold as we saw on the last chart. Now these are broken down into 3-month periods. This is the anomaly for December to February. Just have a quick look at the anomaly for October to December, and you see we've got more blocking then. Actually, it is saying that we start the winter certainly with more blocking around green. Again, not quite to the extent that we had on last month's update, but even so, quite a bit of blocking there. We've got the trough of low pressure seen to the south. It's a cold scenario, I think, that we're still bringing in cold air into that trough via the blocking. It's just that the blocking isn't as extensive as we were seeing last month. But I think that'll be a pretty cold start to the winter, to be honest. As we go through towards the 3-month period from November to January, again, quite a lot of blocking being considered over Greenland. Quite a lot of high pressure up there. Again, the trough is sitting around just to the south of the country. I think we bring down cold air into that trough again. So if this was a normal update and we hadn't had last month's update, that would be pretty exciting, I think, for anybody that's looking for cold weather this winter. That would be a really good update, but it's just that it doesn't quite reach the extent of blocking that we had on last month's update. And then, of course, we go through to the anomaly for December to February, the actual winter anomaly. And, of course, then we begin to lose the blocking over green. So it's perhaps seeing a bit of a change, actually, through the winter. We start off with quite a lot of northern blocking, and then we probably break it down gradually and revert winds maybe to more of a westerly by the time we get through to the latter stages of the winter. Overall, not a bad update for anybody that wants a cold winter. That's pretty good, really. It's just that compared to the very extreme chart that we had from the Belgian Climate Centre last month, it doesn't quite reach that sort of extent of extreme northern blocking, and last month's update was right at the extreme end. But overall, you will still expect quite a bit of cold weather and quite a bit of snow, I think, at times from those anomaly charts. All long-range forecasting is highly experimental. These models are experimental, so it's not to be relied upon just for fun. And, of course, we'll see towards the end of September what all the other longer range models are showing when we do the first winter 14-15 seasonal model roundup. But to come back to the nearer time frame, we're in for a very warm week this week. Temperatures are going to be peaking around 25 or 26 degrees down in the south of the country. That extends into weekend, although gradually through the weekend and the start of next week, I think we see most temperatures lowering off, and it could turn a bit more unsettled as well as we get through to next week as well. So perhaps turning cooler and more unsettled towards the 8 to 10 day time frame. Have a look at that in more detail in tomorrow's update. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.